Okay guys, welcome to my CSGO strategy book. We're going to talk about basic tactics on DE Mirage. We're going to talk about a default tactic, we're going to talk about A-site smoke strategy, a split A strategy, a split A from window, B-site smoke strategy, a split B strategy, and two strategies that go through window to city spawn, and we'll also cover a few extra smokes. So with the default setup, you're going to be trying to cover all positions with between 1 and 2 guys. So you're going to have probably 1 to 3 guys in the B carbs, with 2 of them going underpass to get control of mid. And then you're going to have 2 to 3 guys in mid to try and get control of mid, get a pick so you can go to a site pretty easily. And then 1 guy either at ramp or palace, or you can have 1 guy on each area just to watch for a push, maybe get a pick if they play a bit aggressive. And then from this default is when then you use an execute to get onto a site. So it all depends on where you get the pick. So if you get the pick at B, your guys on A are going to fall back. But if you get the pick at A, your guys on B are going to fall back. So let's say you have 3 guys in B carbs. 2 guys go underpass, so now you have like 2 to 3 guys in mid. And 1 just sitting up in B carbs. The mid guys have 3 possible ways they can get picks. They can go short, window, or connector to try and get a pick. The guy at A ramp could try to get a pick, or could fall back if you've got a pick on the B site. Same with the guy in palace, and the guy in B apartments can also do the same, depending on where you get the picks. So now let's look at some executes. We're going to look at the basic A site smoke execute, which is from A ramp and the palace area mainly. So you will also have probably 1 guy lurking either in mid or in B carbs, just to see if they're going to go for a push, to cut off rotators, or to fake it out before you can execute. So this is you're going to usually have 3 guys at A ramp and 1 in palace. So with 1 lurker. Whether he's lurking on mid or B apartments, it doesn't matter as much. Just to make sure they don't all rotate to A before you can even get onto the site. So we're gonna have a look at the smokes required for this execute and molotovs required. We're also going to show some flashbangs. 3 smokes. There's the CT spawn smoke, the smoke that lands on top of the stairs, and the smoke for jungle. And there's 1 molotov for this strategy, which is your molotov underneath the palace. So we're going to look at the stairs smoke first. This is done from A ramp, and it's just a normal throw smoke. It lands on top of the stairs, blocking off stairs to palace area. Now we're going to look at the jungle smoke, again from A ramp. It's just a throw smoke. This lands in jungle, right there. However, there's a very small gap on that left hand side. You should be fine though. For CT spawn smoke, right here in A ramp again. This blocks off CT spawn. However, it does leave a little bit of a gap to the right, and they can jump up on the box in the ticket booth to see you over it. So watch out for that. For the under palace molotov, you can do this through a smoke by lining up before you get to the edge of palace and just throwing it on the palace. This clears up palace pretty easily for you. Now we'll look at some flashbangs for this strategy. You can just do a basic over the top flash, which will flash people on the site, people at jungle watching the A ramp, and people close as well. You can also use the wall here to flash behind your teammates as they're rushing up. So it won't flash them, but it will also flash people on the A site if they're watching A ramp. It's not as effective as the former flash, but it doesn't flash your teammates. You can also flash underneath palace, from palace as well, to help out your teammates. This also doesn't flash your team if they're rushing from A ramp. Okay, now we'll look at an A site split tactic. So this is where you're going to hit from 3 different directions at once. So it's going to be from A ramp, from palace, and from the connector in mid. You can also have a guy underpass to get to the connector, or top mid to get to the connector, whatever you feel like is needed. So you normally have about half your forces on the A ramp palace area and about half in mid. It all depends on how easily you can take mid. So if you're having problems taking mid, it's best to have more guys in mid than it is. The smokes required are CT spawn, window, and short. And also a deep jungle smoke is useful. And the molotovs are going to be underneath palace and at window. So this forces them into specific positions which you can check quite easily. when you're taking the side. So to do the window smoke, you can do it from T-spawn. This one's a little bit iffy, so just be careful with it. And they can body block this smoke, so you got to be careful with that. Leaves no gaps. To get out mid, if you don't want to do the window smoke, you can just throw a smoke here, which will block off connector and window, allowing you to get to that box pretty easily. From this box you can smoke off window if you wish, just by running and throwing. Again, this smoke can be body blocked, so just be careful. To do a short smoke, you can do it from the top of middle, just by throwing it over those windows. They can get into the ladder room from here, so just be careful. You can also do a plain short smoke just from middle here, using that wall to bounce it off. However, there can be a gap depending on how well you throw the smoke, so be careful. To do the deep jungle smoke, you can do this from a ramp, bouncing off the back of the window room, leaving no gaps. This allows you guys to get up connector and onto the A site without being worrying about window. You can also do this from connector as well. You can also do this from palace as well if you wish. You can do it through a smoke in palace if you just line it up with the floor. It smokes off quite nicely here as well. To do the CT smoke, you can do it from a ramp. You just line up with the little pointy edge of the building there. Just throw. It leaves a gap at the right, so be careful. To do the under palace molotov, you line it up with the pot plant as you're up against the edge of the right wall there, and just throw. This will go underneath the palace, forcing anybody out from underneath the palace. To do the window molotov, you can go from underpass, just line it up, and it will line up and fire on the left side of the window. To do the flashbangs for this tactic, there's the over the top flashbang from a ramp, flashes anyone on the site, but it will flash your teammates if you push out too quickly before that flashbang, so just watch out for that. If your teammates are pushed out or a bit close to pushing out, you can just use this wall, so it will pop over and behind them so it won't flash them. It's not as effective as the former flashbang, so just be careful. And you can also flash from palace as well. You can flash underneath palace, so it'll flash anybody on site watching palace. To do the split A from window, to do this strategy, it requires a presence at A ramp, palace, and middle. The middle guys are going to either boost up or go around through the ladder room to get into window, and the other middle guys are going to push connector, either from underpass or from top mid, depending on how you want to play it. And you're going to hit from window, from connector, from A ramp, and from palace all at once. However, it does require a bit of coordination. The smokes used for this are the CT smoke, a short smoke, and a window smoke, which is optional, depending on how you want to play that. And the molotovs that are used are going to be under palace and at window. To do the window smoke, you can do this from T-spawn. It is a fickle smoke, so just be careful. They can body block this smoke as well, forcing it out of the window, so you've got to also be careful there, but it does block off quite nicely. To get out to middle without a window smoke, you can just throw smoke from top mid, bouncing off the ledge. Blocks off window and connector to the boxes in mid. Once you're at the boxes, you can also smoke off window. However, this smoke can also be body blocked as well. For a short smoke, you can do it from top middle, using these windows, just jumping and throwing over them. They can get into the ladder room from this without you noticing, so just be careful. You can also do a throw from normal middle, just up to short if you're going to do it quickly. This can leave a gap if you do it slightly wrong, so be careful. For the CT smoke, you just throw this from a ramp, and it lands quite nicely in CT spawn. However, there is a small gap towards the right they can work themselves around. They can also jump on top of the box and the ticket booth. To do the under the palace molotov, you can go from palace, you line up with a pot plant on the wall. You can throw this through a smoke if you wish. So you can line it up while the smoke's there without having to worry about it lining anything up through a smoke. To do the molotov to window, you do it from underpass, it lands on the left side of window. To do the flashbangs for this tactic, there's the over-the-top flashbang from a ramp, flashes anyone on site, but it will flash your teammates if you push out too quickly before that flashbang, so just watch out for that. If your teammates are pushed out or a bit close to pushing out, you can just use this wall, so it will pop over and behind them, so it won't flash them. It's not as effective as the former flashbang, so just be careful. And you can also flash from palace as well. You can flash underneath palace, so it'll flash anybody on site watching palace. For a B site smoke execute, this is going to be almost everybody through the B apartments, and maybe one person up short. You can also have people lurking either in palace or on A ramp or at top mid if you wish. But the main point of the strategy is you can have most of your people running through the B apartments. So this is very effective on a armor pistol buy, as you can close the distances very quickly. So usually you just have one guy lurking on like a gun round just to force them to rotate off. 3 smokes are actually quite useful, and 2 molotovs are very useful for this strategy. They're not required, but they do come in quite handy if you can get them. So for the first smoke, this is going to be a close short smoke. So you line up with the door and the top of the building, and just throw it. It'll block off short to the first window, so an AWPer from short can't pick you off very easily. For the second smoke, you'll throw it through the first window, and it will block off the far side of short, combining these 2 smokes to block off complete of short. To block off shop, or the window of shop and the door of shop to seeing you as you're coming out, line up with the other side of the door and the window and throw it above the ledge. This will land on the site, blocking off shop to apartments, allowing you to get out pretty easily. To molotov the truck, you can just line up and run and throw, and it's going to molotov people out of the truck. And to molotov off the bench, you just throw it through the second window, and it molotovs the bench quite nicely, forcing people out of the most favoured positions on the site. For flashbangs, you can throw flashbangs over short. There are a few you can throw here. Find out the ones that work for you the best. You can adjust the angles if you wish, but these usually flash out most of the site and the people playing at the bench. You can also do an over the top flashbang, which is also quite nice, which can flash people off from truck as well. For a split B take, this is where you're going to have presence in B apartments and a presence on short as well. To get to short, you can either go from top mid to short, or you can go underpass to short. It doesn't matter really either way. Just be careful if you're going underpass, as they could push out connector and get you from both ways. You can also leave a lurker towards palace or A ramp, depending on how easily you think you can take the B site and how easily you think you can get a backstab. But it's mainly going to be about half from short and half from B apartments. There's going to be smoke required is going to be the shop smoke from B apartments, a connector smoke so you can get up short, and a window smoke if required. Molotovs are going to be at truck and at bench to force out the most favoured positions on the B site. So let's have a look at how to do these. To do the window smoke, you can do it from T-spawn, just run and throw. It should be similar on both 128 and 64 tick servers. Blocks off window, be wary of a body block. They can knock the smoke out of the window if they get their angles right. If you don't want to do that smoke, you can just smoke from top mid to get to the boxes. And you can smoke window from there if you want to. That is using 2 smokes instead of 1. But you can use that smoke to get a presence on mid. They can body block that smoke as well. To do A connector, you can do this from top mid as well. So that smoke's off connected. There is a small gap if they're in front of the smoke, so be careful. Or you can just do one from mid as well. But you got to make sure you get it higher than the 3rd stair. To do the shop smoke, you can do this from B apartments. You line up with the little window and the top of the ledge. It will land on the site, blocking off shop to apartments quite nicely. To do the truck molotov, you do this from B apartments. You just run and throw. Molotov anybody playing close truck. To do the bench, you can do this from B apartments as well. It'll molotov anyone from bench, and now you've eliminated the two most favoured positions on the B site to hold from. For the flashbangs, you can do these from B apartments, from the left side of this pillar, to flash off people bench, or anyone that's close watching short to B apartments. You can change these angles up a bit, to your liking, to whichever one you prefer, whatever makes it easier for you. You can also do an over the top running flashbang, which works quite nicely. For a more interesting strategy, we're going to do a split A site strategy, where we're going to come from city spawn as well as from the connector. So we're going to hit it from A ramp, from the palace, from city spawn, and from the connector. You can also hit it from the window if you can boost two people up there. So it requires everybody and no lurkers for this strategy, and it depends how you want to play it. Depends how many people you want through city spawn, depends how many people you boost up. You can actually do from window as well if you wish. You can take it from 5 directions at once. Window smoke is good, short smoke is good, and a shop to CT spawn smoke is also quite nice, which we'll show you how to do a bit. Molotov underneath palace would be good again to eliminate that dark position, and a Molotov in window is also good to force them back to playing jungle. So this strat's complicated, but can be viable. But let's have a look at these smokes. For window, you do this from T-spawn. You can just run and throw. It can be a bit fickle, and it can be body blocked, so watch out for that. If you don't want to do this smoke, you can smoke off from top mid. That smokes off connector and window to get to the box. So this could be good if you think they're playing a rifle in connector or an AWP in connector. You can also smoke off window from top mid as well, if you can get out there. To smoke off short, you can do this from top mid, just using the windows. They can get into the ladder room with this smoke, so watch out. To do the shop smoke from top mid, you will jump and throw from the back of the boxes, and this will smoke off shop to CT spawn. To do the Molotov underneath palace, you line up with the pot plant in the corner of the wall. You can throw this through a smoke if you wish, as it can be lined up whether there's a smoke there or not. For flashbangs for this strategy, you want to use the over the top flashbang from A ramp, or you can use the flashbang that bounces off the side wall on A ramp. Either of these two flashbangs work quite nicely, but you want to just make sure when you throw these flashbangs, you're not going to flash anybody that's your teammate in connector or CT spawn. You can also flash from palace, same way you did the Molotov. Again, you want to make sure you don't flash anyone from CT spawn when doing this. Now let's look at the split B from CT spawn. So this one is you're going to hit from shop, short, and B apartments all at the same time. You can make lots of noise in B apartments so they think you're going to B, and then you go underpass and go that way. Or you can go just top mid to short and boost up if you wish. You can go through ladder room and do it this way. However, if you go through window, they're going to more likely think it's an A take, so that'd probably be a better way if you boost up window instead. So if you go through ladder room, they're going to think it's a short take and rotate that extra guy into CT spawn who's going to be able to kill you while you're going through the murder hole. So just be careful. One guy lurking in palace could also be good to try to sell that A fake. But it all depends on how you want to play it. It is a hard strat to pull off, so just be careful. The smoke's required. Window smoke, a CT spawn smoke, a connector smoke. Molotovs, good at truck, good at window, and good at bench. So 3 Molotov strat. Optional Molotovs again, but they are useful. So let's have a look at these. For the window smoke, you can do this from T-spawn. It is a fickle smoke, so just be careful, and it can be body blocked pretty easily from anyone playing window. So, it's good smoke when it works, but it has a high chance of not working. If you don't want to do that smoke, you can just throw a smoke out top mid to allow you to get to the boxes, smoking off both the connector and window to the boxes. If you're at the boxes, you can smoke off window as well. This one can also be body blocked. To do the connector smoke, there are two ways of doing it. You can go from top mid, just throwing it over the top, or just anywhere in mid. You've got to make sure when you throw this smoke that it lands on above the third or fourth stair, as if it doesn't, they can see over from A site to short. To do the CT spawn smoke, you throw it from the top of the boxes, and it blocks off the murder hold of CT spawn, allowing you to get out to shop. For a molotov, per window, you throw it from underpass, it'll molotov anybody out from window. To do the truck molotov, you do this from B apartments, run and throw. To do the bench molotov, you can also do this from B apartments as well. Just line yourselves up, and run a little bit and throw, eliminating the two most favoured spot on B site. Let's look at some extra smokes. So the first extra smoke, we smokes off A site near the stairs. So this smoke is used a lot in Derby strats on Mirage. They do a wall of smokes on Mirage, so this is one of them. This allows them to smoke off jungle without having any gaps and getting onto the A site pretty easily. This next smoke here is the same smoke from A ramp, just at a slightly different position on the A ramp. Smokes off next to the stair quite nicely. This smoke here smokes off near the boxes on A site. You can combine this with the former smoke to have a wall of smokes to get to the A site without having to worry about anyone around there. This smoke smokes off deep short on B site. Could be useful. I'm not quite sure what tactic you would use it in, but it depends. This one smokes off closer up short. This can allow you to get to window room without having to worry about anyone from B. This smoke smokes off in front of the bench, allowing you to get out of apartments without having to worry about anybody at the bench. Can be useful. This smoke will smoke off short B again, so the same smoke that did at mid. And this smoke allows you to get out of apartments without anybody from trucks seeing you, which is good. You jump out the window. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.